I'm Bruce Peoples, and welcome to Momentum on the Peachtree Corner Network. Today, my guest is Luke Crawford, and we are going to talk about social media and local government, or perhaps local government and social media, and kind of where they intersect a little bit. So first, Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and share that with us?
Absolutely. So my name is Luke Crawford, and I'm from the Peachtree Corners area. Moved here when I was 3 years old. I own a company called Jawbone Media, and we do photo video services and other creative services primarily in the firearms industry. And I actually ran for city council last year here in Peachtree Corners.
Okay, so you probably know a little bit more about local government than the average person on the street, huh?
I like to think so.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit about social media and local government. So my first question, Luke, is should government, use social media as a means of communicating with their citizens?
Absolutely. I think social media is a great way for the government as a whole to reach citizens. And one of those reasons is people are navigating away from even ever looking at email. And you can look at the statistics of open rates just over the past 10 and 20 years, and they've just plummeted. And with any company or government organization, if you want to engage people, you need to go to where they are. The newspaper is not something as many people are reading these days as compared to social media, your Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and those kind of things.
Right, definitely. Well, yes, the newspaper has gotten thinner over the years, hasn't it?
It has.
Absolutely. All right, so are there any particular sites you think that are most appropriate for that?
I know Facebook has the largest pool of users. So for that reason, I think Facebook is really a necessity today for any government organization or business.
Yeah.
I think Twitter is another great option, especially for those quick updates. The city of Peachtree Corners does a great job about that as far as, if there's a down power line during a storm or a road blocked or, a crash or something like that.
Yeah.
And Twitter's great just to push out those quick updates. I know Instagram, I think, can be used well. Just to kind of highlight what the city is and what's going on. And I think it's great to work with, residents of the city to help generate content for that, to kind of show off all the beautiful things that are Peachtree Corners.
Gives the citizens a chance to kind of do their own user-generated content, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That, right? I think that's a great way to do things. And then obviously, the YouTube and video sharing platforms I think are great because we can come and have conversations like this, but also it's a great way for people like our city manager or our council or mayor, if they want to, share something that they believe in or want to talk about as it relates to the city. YouTube's a great platform for pushing out that video content. Especially with the growth of live broadcasting, with Facebook Live and YouTube Live, that really opens a lot of doors for just better ways that the city can communicate with its citizens.
Are there any downsides or any, negative situations or maybe situations where local government should not use social media?
I think generally your biggest problem with social media is that people no longer see a face and who they're talking to. The downside is more so the negative feedback the city receives is not necessarily going to be quality negative feedback. My idea of if I have negative feedback of something is to call that person or go meet with that person.
That seems to be a dying art, actually, face-to-face communication.
It's a shame, and because of that, I think we see a lot more just social media turning into insults and personal attacks.
Right. A lot of folks will refrain from being positive, but it's easy to take pot shots at people.
I believe it.
Well, related to that then, if someone attacks sort of the local government via social media, what's the best way they should respond?
I think that generally it's better to just avoid and ignore the negative confrontation. But when there's validity to it, I think it's really important that the city takes that and then turns it into a positive interaction.
Right. Another related topic is, a lot of politicians and elected officials are kind of using social media to communicate directly with voters. Mm-hmm. Kind of bypassing the traditional press, so to speak. What are your thoughts on that, Luke?
I really think it's great because we're now seeing that politicians as a whole are using social media to communicate with their constituents. I think it's advantageous in a lot of ways because it does remove any filter. I think people, as far as citizens of the country, they like to be able to look at that and know that's actually what that person said.
It also kind of forces them to take a stand on certain issues. A lot of times they really don't address directly important issues. They kind of give muddled answers and things like that. So at least this way they sometimes have to be specific about things, right?
Absolutely. I think it's easy in these debates and conversations for politicians. They like to avoid yes or no answers. They'd rather just talk about the belief and
Sure.
never acknowledge where
They're
stand.
good for a good economy. Well, what does that mean
Exactly.
in terms of policy? Okay. Where do you see all this going maybe in the next 5 to 10 years as social media continues to be an important vehicle for governments and elected leaders?
I think social media will continue to grow and continue to become more popular. The majority of people are using a social media of some form. But I don't think we'll ever completely lose stuff like email and newspaper and print, just because I think there are certain places where that makes more sense. Something like the city budget does not make sense to be posted on Instagram or something like that. That's
true.
just not what the platform's designed for.
That's right. Each of these platforms kind of has a different purpose and
Exactly.
application. Okay, good. It takes you back to the days of the town crier, which I think they're going to build at the new town center, perhaps.
Yep.
I think the modern town crier is going to be a giant TV screen like this. Okay, good. Luke, thank you very much for joining us. Enjoyed what you had to say today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.